What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the DriveMatch podcast. This is episode 2. You are joined by myself, Ravi Wadan, and my good friend and DriveMatch colleague and fellow co-founder, Ali Busnaina. What's up, Ali? Looks like a pretty cool background you got there. Where are you right now?
Yeah, we're in Taipei, Taiwan.
Nice. Wow, what a beautiful skyline in the background. Beautiful weather, too, looks like.
Yeah, it's been pretty hot, but not much different than Arizona.
Not much different than Arizona. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. On this podcast, we're going to talk about, obviously, inventory on DriveMatch. We're going to talk about all things car industry. And I think the first thing that I want to bring up, Ali, was a video that I made earlier this week, and I kind of want to get your take on it. For those that need background, the $7,500 EV tax credit expired on September 30th, so just 4 or 5 days ago. But Ford and GM news came out are still partaking in the $7,500 EV tax credit because they went and put small deposits, or their kind of captive bank put small deposits on every single car in existing inventory. I just wanted to get your take on that. What do you think about that strategy?
Yeah, it's been interesting to see that. Other manufacturers, we've seen it just completely wipe off the table. But, it'd be curious to see if BMW used a similar strategy, because they're still honoring the 7,500, or not necessarily honoring, but they still have a $7,500 rebate on EVs.
Like, it's still baked into the deal.
It's still in the deal. So we're actually still seeing pretty good deals on EVs from BMW, whereas another very popular brand on DriveMatch, Mercedes, we're seeing, the 7,500 completely went away.
Really?
Whereas they added, I think a supplement of 2,500 to give it more of a soft landing on the 2026s.
Yeah,
that had the 2,500 rebate or 7,500 rebate. But yeah, it's interesting. I haven't seen how they've implemented the 7,500 for GM, because I know the Silverados and Hummers we're not seeing as strong of deals, as well as the Cadillacs. So because their 7,500 for GM was always in the residual.
That's right.
Not necessarily a rebate.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting how it continues to play out. I think, as I've said before, I think this month the manufacturers are really going to use it as to see how things perform before they, really decide what they're going to do with these, EVs and EV credits and leases. So it's going to be interesting to watch, for sure.
It's going to be interesting to watch. I think the first thing is, I think it's going to really, this month and maybe next month will really dictate a lot of these manufacturers' kind of long-term strategy. Would you kind of agree with that? With
Absolutely.
That logic?
Yeah. We've seen across the board just, cars, production of cars for electric vehicles just completely way down versus, what they were a year or 2 years ago. But yeah, I think this will kind of level set the playing field, and it's almost like a restart for them.
It's almost like a restart, and it's really curious to know that, to my knowledge, you said that maybe BMW has also placed a small deposit on existing inventory, but it seems like it might have been like some not insider information, that might be a bad use, but kind of, insider market information that, some companies kind of found this loophole or this strategy and others didn't. And it seems like the manufacturers that kind of learned about the strategy maybe didn't share it, because we're not seeing it pass through to Tesla. I haven't seen it pass through to Rivian. I haven't seen it, the other, Hyundai, all the form, like to Volvo, to any of the VW AG product lineup. We haven't really seen it kind of pass through anywhere over there. So maybe they just didn't get the memo.
Yep.
Yeah. So another big news too was Hyundai's actually just decided to my knowledge, they didn't get the $7,500 credit. Like, they didn't do the GM Ford strategy, but they've kind of taken a different approach and they've just decided to lower the price of their cars altogether and try to make their EV strategy just a much more affordable strategy. I don't know if they're making money on these cars. I don't think there's any information whether they're not, but that's quite interesting. And what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think preemptively saw that with Mercedes as well. They lowered their 2026 MSRPs on their cars. But yeah, and another example I keep using is BMW. They actually raised their residuals on the EVs as well to keep the leasing programs competitive.
Right.
So yeah, those are, I think, a bunch of levers we may see.
So can you explain, like, for somebody who doesn't understand like how residuals work, maybe in a lease, can you explain like what that strategy means and kind of how that works in kind of real world or, layman's terms?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you lease a vehicle, so you have your whole price of your vehicle, like this, and when you lease, you're paying between not the full value, just the residual to what you purchased the vehicle for, or the selling price. So
right.
to basically manipulate this portion, you have either the residual can go up, which reduces your total amount financed, or you bring it down this way with rebates. So we've seen the approach that, like you said, Hyundai, lowered their prices, so they're using this way to lower the lease payment, whereas
right.
Well, actually the residual also moves. So
yep.
But you get the point. And then we've seen some manufacturers change residuals to bring it up this way to basically lower your total amount financed, which will then lower the monthly payment.
And this is kind of a double-edged sword, right, with raising residuals, because the manufacturer essentially knows, the manufacturer knows that a BMW iX is essentially going to depreciate in the real world maybe 50%, right? From a time somebody were to pay cash, and in 36 months, I think that car is probably, the real world residual is probably closer to 50%. But what you're saying is them saying instead of this car depreciating 50, they're going to eat up 20% of that depreciation and maybe raise the residual to 65 or 70%, right? So that's kind of the advantage of leasing these cars, is you get that benefit of a subsidized lease from the manufacturer, essentially, correct?
Yeah, and I mean, that said, the used car landscape may change without the heavy subsidies from government.
Yeah.
So this, for the example of the iX, maybe a 2026 iX in 3 years will be, worth more than a 2024 iX, now.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's hard to say, how this whole thing is going to change with, used car values and what new cars today are going to look like in 3 years. So, but, it does seem like BMW is buying up these residuals to still keep leasing competitive.
And BMW historically, I mean, before the electric vehicle stuff even popped up, BMW's always been really good about kind of residual setting and money factors, and right, they've always had a keen sense of how to kind of a keen sense of their market and how to kind of sell their vehicles. What's the best way to sell, right? I don't know what the number is, but I would say the majority of BMW sold are probably leased, or a big majority of them, right?
Yeah, I would say it's probably over 40% leased. Yeah. I'd have to fact check that, but like you said, you're right. I mean, I've been kind of following car leases since the late 90s, and BMW Financial Services, I think, has always done a really great job of figuring out what the sweet spots are for their money factors and residuals, and offering customers a lot of options between multiple security deposits, one pay leases or single pay leases, and they also have one of the industry best lease transfer processes. They're just an excellent financial services company. It's very pro customer. So I completely agree with you. They've always,
at the end of the day, you can say whatever but BMW as a whole is arguably the best run automotive company. like, you know,
Yeah.
from holistically speaking, like they just get it, you know, it just
I agree.
feels like they get it from all aspects,
Yeah.
from a product perspective, from a finance perspective, from an engineering perspective. It's just a really, really well run company. So kudos
Yeah.
if anybody from BMW is watching this. We always appreciate it, and you know, and they're a big part of DriveMatch too. We sell a lot of BMWs on DriveMatch, and even before DriveMatch, I'm sure you probably sold a lot of BMWs even prior to this.
Yeah, it's just such a great brand. It's one of my favorite products to drive and to lease, and the attention to detail and quality they have is excellent. Whether
Yeah.
it's from their South Carolina manufacturing facility, Mexico, Germany, I've just seen very, very high quality from all of those facilities. I would say the one thing that they probably struggle with is their Halo products. So like the XM, we've seen some struggle with, in
Yes.
the past, the Z8, which turned it around. The Z8 is very desirable now, but
Yes. Or even like the i8, like more recently,
i8,
like the i8
exactly.
was kind of one of those Halo products, right? That kind of like, I don't know if I want like was it a 3-cylinder? I can't remember. It was like very unique.
You're right. Yeah, it was a 3-cylinder.
It was a very unique kind of product.
Cool car, though.
it looked fast, but it wasn't fast. But it was, from an engineering perspective, it was kind of pushing the boundaries,
Yeah,
But
it was.
and it had the gull-wing doors, or the pop-up doors, or whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, that's true. The Halo products. I mean, the XM on paper is a tremendous vehicle, but I think
The XM, I love it. It's one of my. I actually really like the look of it. I think it's a very unique product.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
and I tell you all the time, if you come across a good lease deal, I'm ready for that.
Yeah, they had some very, very attractive specials. If you were previous 7 Series or M car product or M car owner, they had some very good leasing deals last month. But with the changes, I'd have to see how they fare out now.
How long ago? I had an M car, but it was like 10 years ago. That's probably too far out, I'm sure.
No, they appreciate your loyalty, but not that much.
It's been a while.
Yes.
One other thing I did want to talk about was the lease transfer process, because that's kind of a benefit of leasing that really goes under the radar, right?
It truly does.
Can you so I guess for people that are watching, it's so let's say you finance a car or buy a car. It could be any car. And then like a year later or 6 months later, let's say, family circumstances, life circumstances happen and you have to sell that car. You're going to take a huge hit because you're owning that car in the peak of its kind of depreciation curve, right? At the top of its depreciation curve. But like when you lease certain cars, like BMW, for instance, even if you need to get rid of that car 6 months later, you can essentially just have somebody take over your lease payments and kind of walk away. You might have to pay some transfer fees and a few other things, but you're not going to take nearly the financial hit that you would have if you had financed or bought that car in cash.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're one of the most pro-consumer, financial organizations, and just build some of the best cars. So for instance, to expand on that, when you lease a BMW, once funding occurs and they have title in-house at BMW Financial in Ohio, then you can do what is called a lease transfer or lease assumption. So you can post it on different marketplaces or anywhere really, and if you get someone to agree to take over just your payments, or some people ask for money to take it over, or the opposite, they'll give an incentive to take over the lease. Once you have someone, all you really need is BMW to send them a credit application. And once they're approved and you pay the transfer fee to BMW, the process really just takes a week. They e-sign everything. And what really happens is BMW rewrites your lease to take you off of it, the original lessee, and put the new approved lessee on the lease, and they take over and assume everything that's on that lease. So if you had security deposits, it now becomes the rightful owner of those deposits goes to the new lessee. But it's a
Wow.
really cool program. And, the rule of thumb I always tell customers is the person applying needs to have as good of credit or better credit than you, because then it wouldn't be an attractive deal to BMW to, take someone on that's of lesser credit than you were for the original lease. So that's typically, I think, the kind of rule of thumb that, BMW goes by when doing these
And
lease assumptions.
that's really good, helpful information. But there is nuances. I remember you telling me this last week that not all manufacturers are like BMW. Like not all manufacturers let you transfer your leases. So you have to be kind of careful. You can't just assume because BMW does it that everybody does it, right? I mean, it's not like a industry wide.
Correct.
So plus some people could get in trouble, right? So you don't want to lease something thinking that you can get out of it in 6 months because you got a great lease deal, but then you're kind of, you're going to have to pay additional
Exactly.
fees and not just be able to transfer it so easily.
Yeah, and I always, yep.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
always tell people that, the bank or BMW or whoever is always allowed to change their policies at any time. That the
Yep.
the lease transfer is not written in to the lease. It's more of a service they offer for, to help improve the customer experience.
I see.
It's not something that they're obligated to do, or, we've seen it happen in COVID where these leasing companies, banks, froze lease transfers, and sometimes they never came back. So
You're right. And we saw a lot of the captive banks stop allowing third party buyouts, and that just kind of, they just
correct.
flipped the switch, right? It didn't matter if what the contract said. It was just like, you used to be able to take a Honda to the Ford store down the street or the Chevy store down the street, and everybody put a kibosh on that really quick as soon as they knew that all these cars had equity in them. They were like, we want
Yeah.
these cars back on our lots, and we
Correct.
want to sell
Yeah.
these things.
Yep.
So the market can change at a sudden thing. So it is a benefit, but it comes with some asterisks that you should definitely,
Yes.
and some risks that you should definitely be aware of. Okay. Next topic I want to touch on from my, I got a hot pink notepad here, is DriveMatch inventory. So I know you've personally uploaded some cars yesterday and the day before. Give us a sense of what you're seeing in the market, this month, and programs this month, and where do you think the deals are, and what are you excited about?
Well, it's exciting to see the I'd say the last 6 months the focus has really been on electric, electric everything, and not everyone is ready for electric.
Yeah.
And especially there's not a lot of family haulers for electric cars and pickup trucks for electric. So it's kind of neat. We've seen a more of a resurgence of great deals on gasoline vehicles. So
ICE is making a comeback.
ICE is making a comeback. That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily here where I am right now, but in the
Yeah.
U.S.
And not that ICE. I'm talking about internal combustion
Yeah.
engines. Yeah.
Yes.
For those of
Yes.
you that are confused.
Gasoline powered internal combustion engines. Yes.
Yes.
Well, yeah, it's BMW. We've seen some phenomenal programs on like the X7s. So this focus on gasoline powered family haulers. We have some really great deals on the Infiniti QX60s, which we'll see on DriveMatch here very shortly. Which is another 3-row 7-seater.
They're great cars.
It's a really fantastic car. I think the crew at Nissan Infiniti has done an excellent job turning it around.
Yeah.
Their marketing chief of marketing, Allison, has, I think, done an excellent job at that. And the 2026 QX60 just got a facelift, and it's if you weren't open to Infiniti, I would say go check it out, try it again. It's we're seeing payments under $600 for a 3-row QX60 luxury vehicle. It's And I will say it's one of the best air conditioning systems I've seen
Yeah.
in a
Ali's really into the ACs because living in
yes,
Arizona, it's like
yes.
you get in Seattle. It's like I could care less what the AC is like, but
Yeah.
for you, it's a big deal.
But for the southern states, it's a very big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's like something that when you live in a certain part, a region, like you don't even consider that as like a feature. Like like I don't think people here even and that's how like it's crazy because different parts even regionally like people are looking for different features, right? You always think of all-wheel drive and that kind of stuff, but you don't think of like nuanced things like AC. That's like
Yeah.
really important to some people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I mean,
the overhead vents are really important to a lot of people,
exactly. Yeah. For rear
right?
facing car seats, but
Yes.
I've seen the Infiniti and Nissan products drop the, exterior temperature, over 70 degrees. So
Wow.
it's like
That's
they did
impressive.
an excellent job
And
engineering that.
and that it's about time that Infinity and Nissan kind of got their act together because growing up as a kid like in the 90s, like Maximas, Altimas, 300Zs, I mean these were like desirable, like
Super
Nissan's
hot
whole product.
cars.
Pathfinders used to be like the SUV to have, you know what I mean?
It
It was like
was the
the
Xterra.
best. Yeah, Xterra. I mean, it was just the product lineup was so good, and they just fell so far, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. They were like the driver's car of the Honda, Toyota, that the big three Japanese
The
makes. It
big
was
Japanese three. Yep.
they were the driver's car of the bunch, and it's nice to see them come back with the Infinity product, and let's see if they can kind of extend that out to the Nissan lineup. I know they're trying, but let's see if they can actually make it happen. So best of luck
Yeah.
to them because
Same. The to answer your previous question, and we've seen very good deals on, there's some great deals on gas powered Mercedes coming to
oh
DriveMatch as well. We have some, we're seeing it on the C classes, the GLCs, now the GLC 300. Not previously it was only the 350. We saw the good deals on the E,
yes,
but this month we're seeing very good programs on the 300
oh great,
GLC. We're seeing, excellent deals on Silverado 1500 gas.
yep.
So it's going to be an interesting month. I think it's going to be a big shift away from electric to obviously the gas powered cars and trucks.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, like you said, EVs and plug-in hybrids have just dominated the automotive kind of airspace, right? Everybody's been trying to get like the killer deals, and now it's like, okay, let's get back to the trucks and the minivans and the standard SUVs because I feel like a lot of those, as much as our attention went there, I feel like the captive banks and the automotive attention went there too to try to offload this inventory, as much as they could before September 30th. So it is a breath of fresh air, I'm sure, for a lot of people to see deals on cars that that they want, because not
Yes.
everybody wants an EV. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and how's BMW looking this month from a non-EV perspective? Have you seen anything?
Very good. Yeah. We're
Yeah.
seeing, great programs across the board, on the sedans, the 7 Series, the X7s, all very, very good deals on all of those cars.
And the Toyota deals are back too for California. I know a lot of people watching are going to say, can we get some non-California Toyota deals? But hey, if you're in California, we've got some killer Toyota deals. I mean, they're literally, Ali, would you agree? They're probably some of the most aggressive, if not the most aggressive in the country.
Yeah, and it's such a great brand as well, and we're still seeing deals on good programs on the hybrid Toyota and Lexus.
Yeah.
We have some Lexus ES300H, which is just such a solid car from a gas mileage and size perspective.
Tried and tested,
It truly is. Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
they've been finessing that hybrid system for over 20 years. So they're one of the best in the business at it. And
Yeah.
yeah, Toyota, the Tacomas, the Forerunners have great payments right now that we've seen. So a lot of great options, especially for our California viewers and customers.
Yeah. So all the Forerunner heads out there. I know you guys like the last gen. What is it? The fifth gen, or I can't remember what gen it is, but
Yeah.
yeah, they always come at me in the comments because I always tell them to get the new one. So
My
um,
personal favorite is I think it's the third gen with the 8 cylinder. That
oh
to me
yeah,
was peak Forerunner for me.
that was peak Forerunner. Nice.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
they're good
still a
cars,
great
man. They're
product.
bulletproof.
Yeah, yeah.
Freaking bulletproof cars. Yeah, that's kind of I guess all I had in terms of questions for you. And it's cool that we've started this. I'm really happy that we started this because it kind of gives us a different angle into the audience, and the audience really gets to interact with us. And so if you guys are watching this on whatever platform, whether it's Spotify or YouTube, drop your questions in the comments, and we'll try our best to kind of answer those questions.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
we'll absolutely, I'll answer them in the comment section, but it really gives us some good ideas to talk about on the podcast as well. So, Ali, did you have anything else that you wanted to share? Any other deal
No,
come
I
to your mind
mean,
or anything?
yeah, it's I mean, here in Taipei, Taiwan, it's neat to see the cars that we don't have in the US, like Lux Gen, which is a Taiwanese manufactured car. Um, and there's a lot of EVs here, but it's interesting to just see the different how the car markets are very different around the world.
Very
So
different. Probably a lot of BYDs, I'm assuming.
I actually haven't seen any.
No. Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
Lux Gen
nice.
is the popular make here.
Like the domestic
The
brand, I guess
domestic.
you could
Yep.
say.
Yep.
What are you seeing out of the other big automakers? Maybe domestic, like from GM, Ford, Stellantis products there, or the big three Japanese products. Anything like that there?
None.
No.
Yeah, I see a lot
No.
of Porsche. I see a lot of BMW, Audi. So a
Yeah.
lot of strong presence from the German makes, but really, I see some Fords, but not a lot of GM, or especially not Stellantis. Maybe like the higher end, like Maserati, I've seen. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
it's
good to
it's
know.
for me. We actually were. I was talking to a couple of the Uber drivers driving the Lux Gen, and he was asking me. We were talking about cars, and he was asking me what I drove, and I said the GMC Hummer. He's like, "Oh, that is my dream car."
He's,
I was like,
it
"Well,
is.
I mean, if you were in the U.S. last month, we had great deals on them."
We had some great deals on the Hummers.
Yeah,
It's a cool car. How are you
yeah,
liking that experience so far? It's been treating you pretty good.
it's been awesome. I'd say the
Yeah.
only downfall is just the road trip ability of it, but
Yeah.
charging it at home and using it, in like a 150 mile radius of home, it's been an amazing car. I really
It's
like it.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. It's always fun to travel abroad and then see the different cars. I remember as a kid, like going to like London for the first time and just seeing like all the Peugeots, the Renaults of the world, and all the MGs and all these like
Yeah.
brands that we never got back home. Just like you're just like so enthralled by them. But
The,
all
the,
right, I think we'll call it a podcast. We'll call it an episode 2. Thanks for joining, and safe travels, Ali. And
yes, thank
we'll
you.
talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks. Thanks.
All right, buddy. Bye.